Good afternoon, everybody. We'll be beginning shortly. As always, please leave your name and property in the chat box. Just your first name and property is perfect. And we'll go ahead and make sure that you have credit for attending today. You'll use the chat box if it's available to you in order to ask any questions throughout the course of the training. And if you are unable to leave a message in the chat box, please just email me and we'll go ahead and accept questions that way as well. Again, we'll get started in just a couple of minutes, and thank you all for being here. Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We'll get going. So thank you all for taking the time to be here this afternoon. Today, we are going over Canva for beginners. Now, I know that some of you have been using Canva for quite some time, so some of this will be old hat for you. However, if you have any questions about any of the items that we're going through, it's always good to have a refresh. There are some new ways in which these features are available on Canva, and we will be having a Canva Advanced Users training later on in the month. So if all of this is way too simple for you, then again, we will be having an advanced training later on this month. So today we're going to be going over an overview of what Canva is. We'll talk about planning visuals and the things you should collect before you jump into Canva. We'll talk about creating those visuals and the things you want to consider when you're composing a visual. And then we'll talk about how to use those visuals and post those visuals. And then we'll wrap up by going into a live demonstration. So I'm just going to quickly stop sharing my screen and share my face instead. Hi, everybody. So again, what we'll talk about first, the first thing that I want to talk about is what Canva is. So again, for those of you who've used Canva before, you already know it's a web-based design suite, and it makes some of the visuals that you might see coming out of things like Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop more accessible to our properties. And of course, there's no cost for Canva. There are elements of Canva that you can pay for should you like. Examples of that would be certain photos or icons and things like that. Certain designs have costs associated with them. But everything that's on Canva is open rights. You can use it for marketing. You can use it for guest communication. You can use it in association with your brands. You don't ever have to worry about it. You don't ever have to worry about buying different elements of the design unless you want to. So again, so that's basically what Canva is in a nutshell. Again, a lot of you who've used it before, so this will be old hat for you if this is your first time using Canva. Welcome. The one warning that I'll give you, as with any kind of creative design thing, if you've worked on Facebook before, if you've worked in Google, you know that this can happen. You kind of can get down the rabbit hole of creating or coming up with ideas, and Canva is much the same. The first time I put a design together, I feel like it took me hours. It probably took me close to an hour to get the design just right. But now I can whip together a template to utilize for one of the properties in no time at all. So just bear with it. As with any new tool that you utilize, it does take a little bit of time to get used to. But once you do, in all likelihood, you'll find it pretty invaluable. It makes a lot of the things that we want to do from a social perspective much, much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. We'll go through some of the items within, sorry about that. We'll go through some of the items within Canva. We just talked about what Canva is, so we'll talk about planning visuals, and then again we'll go into a live demonstration. So when you're planning your visuals, we want to go through a 3-step process. So if you are taking notes today, this is one that you'll probably want to jot down. So there's three areas that you want to focus on when we're planning our visuals. Now, the first is going to be the base, the content type itself. So is this going to be for, what audience is this going to be for? How are we going to be utilizing it? Is it going to be on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything like that? So that's kind of where you'll start, is your base layer of the type of content that you're going to be utilizing, what size you're going to need, what collateral you're going to need to go along with it. So from the base level, if this is for purposes of sharing something about a rate package that you have coming up and you want to share this on Facebook, you know that you may need some hotel photography and that you need a Facebook-sized template. So again, from the base level, thinking about what visual resources you need to bring to the table, and how you're going to be applying the training. How you're going to be applying the visual. So that's your base level. Then you would want to layer in your branding. So thinking about the colors that are appropriate for you. Canva utilizes hex codes, which is a 6-digit alphanumeric. So it has both numbers and letters. It's a 6-digit number and letter code that represents a color. And I'll show you some examples of what those look like. But you'll want to have any of your branding colors available to you. So we talked about this when we went through content generation training, that you want to make sure you have your brand voice available. The same is so here for visual purposes. You want to make sure that your visual voice is together. So as an example, Crown Plaza has a beautiful plum color, but they've also got a lighter fuchsia color. There's also a yellow color and a teal color that Crown Plaza utilizes. DoubleTree uses their, of course, DoubleTree brown, but there are also a number of other colors that the brand uses as well, depending on whether it's teaching kids to care or the care committee. So there's a parchment color, which is a background color. There's the orange color, which is kind of just layered into some of the DoubleTree content. There's also a red for teaching kids to care. Well, that actually might be for the care committee, a green one for teaching kids to care, and another blue color as well. Even like the Reichert House, which has its own brand, has a blue, a gray, and a red. So you want to consider all of those things when you're planning your visuals. So again, from the base level, step number 1 is to come up with the visual things you want to bring to the table, so any hotel photos and things like that, as well as the size that you would need. And then the secondary for that is your hotel brand. And I mentioned colors, but that also includes fonts. You can upgrade to an advanced Canva, or a Canva for Business, which does allow you to import your own custom fonts. So if branding is particularly important to you, you can use your exact brand fonts within Canva. And we'll go through that in the advanced training, not today, but we'll go through that in the advanced training. If you are not utilizing your specific brand font, you want to find something that's similar and stick with it. So you may find that there are certain times, let's say as an example, if you're doing a Wedding Wednesday post, that you want to do a more flowy, flowery sort of font, and that's okay. But generally speaking, you'll want to use a similar or the exact same font, preferably, or at least the base font throughout all of your design, so that brand voice, that visual representation of the brand comes through. So again, number 1, what the application and purpose is going to be. 2 is your brand information. And then the third, which is a little bit harder to think of initially, is your overall layout. So what's the focus of the piece going to be? Is the focus of your piece going to be a quote for Motivation Monday? Is the focus of your visual going to be is the focus of your visual going to be to communicate an event that you have, in which case you'll need to have some additional text and photo? Or is it straight up just going to be a visual that's associated with a link, in which case you might just want to have a picture? So kind of having a general idea of your layout. Any questions so far? I'll take a quick look into the comment section in just a moment. So again, planning visuals 1, 2, and 3, we just talked about those. All right, so when creating our visuals, we'll go through this specifically, but you want to, the first thing that we'll do is select the size that we'll utilize for our design, and I'll show you how to do that. And then the second thing you'll do is start layering in the images. So it could be utilize a template. Maybe you make the background picture a slightly different color. You update your font colors. So you'll start out with picking out your size of your design and the layout of your design, size and layout. And then you'll customize it with any images and text. And then you'll be able to kind of finesse any of those. And by finesse that, I mean perhaps change the size, move a few things around, make variations of that same post. So I'll show all of that to you shortly. So again, your first step would be to pick the size and layout. The second step would be to customize your photos and text. And then your third step would be to finesse or to detail the post. When you're utilizing your visuals, you can name the visuals separately so that you can clearly see what the purpose of the post is going to, or what the purpose of the type of content is going to be. You can save the posts, either one section of the design or the entire design. You can download it, delete the post or delete the design, copy the design, and share the design to collaborate with your team, and we'll go over all of those. So I'm going to pop back over to our little questions section and see if there are any. Yes, you should be hearing something, but I think this was a little bit older. Yeah, so I think that was a little bit older. Kendra, you should be able to hear everything now. So it doesn't appear that there are any questions so far, so I'm going to go ahead and dive in. So we're going to dive into a demonstration. So we'll take a look at Canva. So the first step that you're going to need to do is either you will log into an existing account or you'll sign up for an account. Now you can utilize Google. So there's a few different ways that you can do this. You can use your hotel email address, which is what I do. I use my Greenwood Hospitality email. Or if you have a social media at Embassy Suites OKC email address, you can utilize that if you prefer. That'll allow everybody to log into that one account, and kind of you don't run the risk of losing access to it. So you can sign up with email or with Google. So you would create your account, and of course that's your first step. And then once you've done that, you'll be able to verify your email address and log in. Okay, so once we are within Canva, the first thing that I'm going to do when creating my design, so I'll show you navigation first and then we'll go into creating the design. So here over on the left-hand side, this is our menu bar where everything is. So from on the top here, I can go into my account settings or view my personal profile where I can add my photo. If I was an advanced user, I could create different branding and everything like that. I have this section here for all of my designs. When somebody shares a post with you, it would appear here in the shared with you section. So you can see I have some items here from Rebecca Hilton at the Greenwood team. We were working on the Greenwood effect, which for those of you who have gone through the training, a lot of the visuals that we utilized were created right here in Canva. And then I have an item here created by Katie, who had formerly been at the Hilton in Oaklawn. So you can also create team members. You have up to 10 team members that you can create. You, in all likelihood, won't have to worry about this too much. There's a section here for your brand, so you can update your color palette. This is fantastic if you're working with one brand. So you'll see here, I have my primary color palette. I can select just a few colors and do one little primary code here. In order to upload any logos or anything like that, you would need, or set brand fonts, you would need to upgrade, but you certainly have that option. I think it's $5 a month to use Canva for Business, where you can include your logo, upload your custom fonts, and all of that fun stuff. We have the option here to explore templates as well, and that pops us out to a separate section where Canva gives us all different types of templates available, more so even than what's available here once we're in all of your designs. So there are a number of different templates that are within here, and we can just scroll through and take a look at them if we want to. Also, down here at the bottom, after this training, I highly recommend you take a look at Learning to Design. Canva has a fantastic set of tutorials, and the nice thing about these is that you are able to actually go in and do the designs on your own. So it will show you, I'll click into one right now. So you start the tutorial and you'll notice it opens it up in a Canva design, which is really interesting. So it tells you how to do certain things. So you learn how to do it, and then you do it on your own. So use this title font and change the subtitle so it provides contrast. So for this one, I would be able to perhaps change it to a different font and change the color. As an example. Or I could do this one as all caps and perhaps change the size to be a little bit smaller. So I can go through all of these bit by bit and see, learn how to do it, and then do it on my own. So that's a great option for you as well. Okay, so now that you have a little bit of a greater understanding of how to navigate those initial parts of Canva, we'll go into actually creating a design. Does anybody have any preferences for the type of design that they would like to create? Any preferences? I'll give that just a minute before we get going. Okay, I don't see any preferences, so I'll go ahead and select one. So you have these basic ones here, and you'll notice that if I hover over it, it tells me the exact measurements. So the pixel types, some of them are in centimeters, some of them are in inches. You can also use custom dimensions. So let's say, as an example, you want to do a 3x5 card size. You can create a custom dimension that, but that's we'll use that in advanced training. So taking a look here, I'm going to look at more. I have social media posts. So I have Twitter, a social graphic, Pinterest graphic, Facebook post, Facebook app, Tumblr graphic, and Instagram post. I like to utilize either the Facebook or the social media postings because they work really well on Instagram. You don't have to worry about changing the size. Of course, Instagram will default square. You are able to do other sizes, but it will default square. So I like to use either social or Facebook. So for today's purposes, I'll go into a Facebook post. Now again, one of the first things, once I'm in this Facebook sized post, I want to think about what I'm going to be using this post for. So perhaps for this one, I want to talk about a discount package that we have, a back to school package that we have right now. So I want a hotel room to be the primary focus, and the discount to be listed there as well. So I can take a look here through my different templates and see what I think might work. So I actually saw one up top that I think I might like to use. I've got lots of different options here, but I'm going to go ahead and select this one up here at the top. So I've got it's heavily photography focused. I have this mid-year sale up to 75% off. See discount items at reallyGreatSite.com. So I'm going to go ahead now and drop in some of my own images. So once I'm in the design section here, you'll notice that I have a layout menu, an elements menu, which goes over photos, grids, frames, illustrations, lines, shapes, icons, charts, and Canva stuff. So you can add a Canva logo if you wanted to. So these are just different elements that I would be able to utilize throughout the design. We'll go into these in more depth in the advanced training about these different elements. I also have text here as an option, so I can add heading, subheading, body text, or there are a number of different styles here. Again, we'll go into these more in depth within the advanced training. I also have a background option here. It's not really applicable for me right now because I have a photo as the background. However, you can always change it to a color if I wanted to, so I can, it's the photo is over top, so the background for our purposes here won't do anything, but you may find a time where you want to use just a pattern perhaps in the background. And then there's this little uploads tab. Now this includes any of the items from Canva that you've purchased with an extended license, photos from your Facebook account if you have it attached, which I don't here, or uploads, which is what I will utilize. So I have lots of really great photos in here. Again, I know that I want to highlight the guest rooms. So let's see if I've got a good guest room photo. I would like one that's got a little bit of open space here. Again, I'm thinking about my composition because all of these items are off to the right. I'd like to have something that has some open space there. So I could do something, once I select a photo, I drag it and drop it into this frame, and you'll notice that it automatically pops in. So I have this option here. This one's pretty good. If I wanted to do a guest room photo, that's pretty good. And then I have the option of also changing the way that the photo appears, so I can crop it and slide it over however I like. So perhaps I like this better. And it's okay. I can also make it larger if I wanted to once I select crop, and that might give me a little bit more of the look that I'm looking for, the feeling that I'm looking for. And it's okay. Let me see if I can find another photo perhaps that might be even better. This one has some nice open space on the side as well. I can move this over perhaps a little bit. I also have this entryway one. So I think I'll go with this one just for fun. So once I've got my photo layered in, I like the way that it's centered. Actually change it just a little bit. I can go in and customize a little bit more. So I've got my photo in. Now I can change each of the text items. So you'll notice that all of these items are, when I select the text, it selects all of them. They're all grouped together. And this is so that it doesn't change the formatting too much. So I can change each of the text if I click into the individual text box. So again, I'm over here, I've selected it. It highlights the entire section because all of these are grouped together, but I'm going to highlight by double clicking. I'm highlighting this entire box, and I'm going to change it to end of summer sale. And I will do up to 20%. And if there's ever a time where you'll notice that this was like on the wrong section, I can just, as you would in a Word document, I can click into the section that I would like to have pop down to the next line, as I did here between 20% and the word to, and I just hit enter or return depending on your keyboard, up to 20% off. And then I can say down here, book now at watermarker.com. Okay, and then once I'm within there, I may want to change some of the colors here as well. So let's say I'd like to do up to 20% off as a different color. I can go in the options up here. Once I'm in that section, I have the option of changing the font, changing the size of the font, changing the color of the font. With certain fonts, you can make it bold or italicize it or unitalicize it. You can change the way that it is aligned, moving it to the left, center, or right. You can make it all caps, which I don't want to do, or you can add bullet points, which I don't want to do. You can also change the spacing. So let's say the letters are a little bit too close together. I can make them a little bit wider so that maybe I wanted to have everything line up. I could make it just a little bit wider so that it lines up with the end of the word end here and 20 or more in line, but I'm not too worried about that. So you can also anchor the text box, which means that all the words will be anchored from the top, from the center, or from the bottom within the text box. For this one, it doesn't particularly matter, but I'll leave it here at the bottom. And then you can also increase the line size again. So perhaps I want my words to be really spread apart, or I want them really close together. For these purposes, I'm just going to leave them pretty much the way that they were. And then I also have the option, because I'm in this large text box with multiple groups of text, I can ungroup them. I'm not going to do that. What ungrouping allows me to do is I can select this and it will automatically increase and decrease the size of all of those elements together, so they're all associated with one another. Any questions so far? I'm going to pop over to our text, our chat box, and see if there are any questions so far. Deanne, it looks like you are okay. So just left a note for Deanne. Difficulty with chat because we started the presentation. If you logged on before we actually went live, it would show that the chat was disabled. You would just need to go into your address bar and hit enter again, and it will repopulate the training, and you'll be able to see everything that's there. And if you're still having difficulty, of course, you can share your questions via email. I haven't seen any come in so far. So please let me know if that changes. We'll go back to Canva. So as I mentioned earlier, you can change the color of the fonts as well. So I'm going to select everything within that entire text box, and I can drag my cursor, I can click and drag my cursor along as you would in a Word document, or once I'm in the text box, I can hit Control or Command A for all. So Command or Control A, and then that selects the entire text within that text box as well. And then I can change the color if I'd like to. So I have the options here of whatever is in the document already will appear here. So let's say, as an example, you're doing a series of posts for Motivation Monday, as an example, and all of your brand photos are in that. Every time you add a new page, all of those document colors will still appear there. You'll see I have my primary colors set here. These are the Greenwood colors, and I have my default palette as well as grayscale. Now, if none of these work for me, I can add a color at any time. And to do that, you just select the plus button, and you'll notice that you can move your color piece around here, or there's a color code option. So what I do, and this may work for you as well, so I'll show you my desktop. I actually keep, that's not what I wanted to do. Can everybody still see my screen? Yes, just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I keep some of my color codes handy here in a sticky note. So you'll notice that I have the Renaissance Brown, the Renaissance Gray, and the Renaissance Orange, and the watermark colors as well. These are some designs I've done recently. So I have these hex codes. These are the Greenwood colors as well. So all I would need to do is come in here and paste that color code, and all of a sudden it's right here in my design. Any questions about that so far? We went over selecting the size of our design, the layout for our design, and then we customized it with a photo. In order to change the font, I'll show you that really quickly. So in order to change the font, I can go in here to the font section and scroll through and pick a font that I like. So let's see what we have here. I want something that's a little bit more like this one, a little bit more like, actually, I'd like to change Old Standard to something more like the Bookman font. Maybe Diplomata looks nice. No, that's too big. Don't like that one. All right, I'm going to do Libre Baskerville. I like this font a lot. It's kind of like Bookman Old within the Word family, within the Microsoft family. I like it a lot. And I'm noticing that I see a little bit, my exclamation point's a little bit too close to my off. So I'm going to increase my letter spacing just a little bit to break that apart. Okay, so again, we went through selecting the size and layout for our design. Then we customized it utilizing the appropriate images and any colors that we wanted. And now we finessed it as well by expanding the text area. We have made our text section larger. We were also able to crop our photo to be centered in the frame the way that we wanted to. And actually, I don't like this. I don't like that picture a whole lot. I'm going to change it out again. Let's see what we've got here. Maybe this one will work. No, that's not the right one that I want. So I think I like this one better. See if I can give myself a little bit more space there. Yeah, I like that one a little bit better. So we can do whatever you want, but select whichever one you think works best and think about composition. I've got this heavy item here. It's a little bit cleaner here, which allows me to have my text appear uninterrupted. So now that we've gone through creating this design, we want to be able to utilize it. So there's a few other sections of navigation that we can utilize here. I can copy this design. So let's say, as an example, I'm also going to want to do an end of year sale. And it's going to be up to 15% off. And the booking is the same. Maybe I want to use okay. And then I want to perhaps change the image that I have in there. That one's a little bit too busy. I think we'll go back to something that's a little bit cleaner. Let's go with this guy. So we're going to go with that one. So you have the option there to drop in the photo as well. So I can copy the design, which allows me to maintain the layout that worked for me and the colors that worked for me without having to impact anything else. I can perhaps maybe move this one up as opposed to having it down there. I can also drag them. So you'll notice that this little cross navigation appears where my cursor is. It changes it to the moving one, so I can drag it down to where I want it to be and put it back in space number 2. I can delete this one if I decide I don't want it anymore. And then I can also hit Command or Control Z, which is undo, in order to, if you make a mistake, you can do Command or Control undo. Now, if I want to add another page, but I don't want to use the same layout, I can add a new page and notice that that background that I'd selected is appearing there, but I can pick a different layout. So perhaps I want to do something like this, and I want to change the color to this blue that I have everywhere already. I can do something up here on the top as well. I'll change the color for this one to the white I was using. And down here, I will change my box to that blue. And I can change all items that are that pink over to that blue color. So that works really well for me. And then I could perhaps drop in, again, a different photo. So maybe for this one, I would utilize the front door photo that I wasn't able to use before. we are so grateful to have, perhaps. So this font isn't the one that I want. So I'm going to change it over to Libre Baskerville. I'm going to make it bold, and I'm going to do all caps. It's a little bit too big, so I'm going to change the size. Still a little bit too big. I'm going to change the size. I don't like this color here, so I'm going to make this one white also. And I can make this photo just a little bit using the filter button. I can make it just a little bit darker so that that white really pops. I'm also going to change this font to match the monostrat light that I've got down there at the bottom and up here. I don't like it bolded, so I'm going to go without bold. Book at watermarkpr.com. Okay, so again, I was able to move my layouts around. I was able to copy layouts. I was able to add a new page entirely. So once I've done that, now perhaps I want to make sure this is saved. So you'll notice that it shows that there are unsaved changes. Oftentimes, Canva will automatically save your changes for you, but if it doesn't, you can go into File and then Save, and it will show you all changes saved. You also have your undo and redo buttons available here. So I can share this post. I'll show you how to do that first. This allows you to share it with a particular person, or you can share a link and give it to them as an editable. So like as an example, if I wanted to give this to Rebecca Hilton, so you'll notice that it was now sent to Rebecca Hilton, and she is going to receive an email saying, Emily invited you to edit this. But you can also download it. So there's a number of different ways that you can download it. For social media purposes, we would want to use either PNG or JPEG, JPG, and those are both images. So if you are sharing it on social media, I recommend using PNG. The photo contains a little bit more information. JPEG is standard and fine to use as well, but PNG has a little bit more information and is oftentimes higher quality. And then you can also do PDF, either for a standard PDF if you're using it for, let's say, an invitation that you're sending out to the entire team, inviting them to a rally. You can send out a PDF, a standard PDF, or you can have a print PDF if you're going to be printing this as a poster and posting it throughout the hotel. So I'm going to save it as a PNG. I have the option to select all of the pages, or I can select one at a time. So I only want to do my end of summer sale right now, so I'm going to select page 1. But I also want to make sure that I have on hand the appreciation rates available. So I'm going to do 1 and 3, and then you would be able to download them. And you'll notice that it will say hold tight, preparing your design. I'll get a little download pop-up at the bottom of my page. And we'll give it just a second to finish up. So it says my design is downloaded. Now that that's up, I can cross out of it, and you'll see my mid-year sale.zip is there. So the one other thing that I might want to do here is title the design. So if you are doing Wedding Wednesday posts, you might want to post it Wedding Wednesday. If you're working with multiple properties, perhaps your restaurant and the property, you might want to title them in such a way that it's clear for you. So this is for the watermark. So I'm going to say BTRAK rate So I'm being specific. This is for the Watermark property. It is a Facebook rate sale promotion. So that's how I'm going to title it. So I'm going to close out of all of these extra Canva pages that I don't need. Now that it's still showing that there are unsaved changes, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. All changes are saved, and now I can close out of this or navigate back to the main Canva page by hitting this Canva button. Any questions so far? I'm going to pop over and see if there are any questions that have come in. No, the PMS code is different. I can get the intercontinental colors for you. They will, in all likelihood, also be on your intranet. Either the hotel's specific share drive or the branding information should be on the IHG intranet. But I will find that out for you, Shauna. Okay. So once I have a design created, I can go in and do some things to that particular design as well. Sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to go back to this main page. I can customize it however I'd like to. So let's say, as an example, I have these Motivation Monday posts for the Reichert House. Actually, you know what? Let's say I have these Motivation Monday posts that I'm using for the Hyatt Place Nashville. I can, once I'm within this section, I can edit the title of the post here. I can like the post. Some of them get shared publicly. I can move it to trash, or I can make a copy. For my purposes, I'm going to make a copy because I want to be able to create one of these for the Embassy Suites in Oklahoma City as well. And so I'm going to need their branding information. So I don't have their hex codes handy, but I do hex codes, so I'm just going to be a little bit sneaky. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to take a look at this element, which is their teal color. And if I select the plus button on something that's already teal, their color code, their hex code appears here for me. So now I have the Embassy Suites hex code for that teal color. I'm going to write it down just so that I have a copy of it. So we've got 00A18E, and there's also a gold color that they have. So I'm going to find something that's gold and hit the plus button, and you can see that I have FFBD4A. So those are my two hex code colors for the Embassy Suites in Oklahoma City. So I'm going to close out of that design. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to go up to this copy of BNAZA Motivation Monday. I know now that I'm going to be using this for the Embassy Suites in Oklahoma City, so I'm going to change it to OKCMR. And then I can click into this post and update my colors appropriately. So you'll notice here in this design, there are a number of different photos in the background and a number of different colors and fonts in the front. So they've been able to create a number of different types of content, a number of different pieces of content here within this one design. So I have this teal color. I'm going to put a teal color here. I'll do the yellow color here, which was an FFED4A. Really pretty gold color. I'm going to change all the items that are orange to that gold. I'm going to do another teal color. Now it's appearing here because it's part of my document colors, and you'll notice that as I start to remove those other colors, they go away. I'm going to do that teal color again, and this one's already my gold. So I have FFBD4A. Cool. All right. So I was able to take that post and copy it as new. I can change the font if I think that it doesn't quite work for this brand. So let's say I think League Gothic might work a little bit better. I'm going to increase the size a little bit, and I'm going to unitalicize it. So let's say that that's fine for me. Actually, I think what I might like to do, I do like that League Spartan, but I don't want it to be italicized, and I do want it to be smaller. And even with these different sizes that are here, I can do smaller incremental sizes. So let's say 27 is the size I wanted. I just typed it in. So now I have teal and yellow designs here. I might want to add in a different photo. Now for these, I don't need a hotel photo, so I'm going to choose some free photos in my elements menu, and free photos, a number of different photos will appear here. So I might want to do some travel related ones. I've got this one with tea and a pen on a bed. I've got this one here with a girl holding a camera. I have this one with somebody reading a magazine, drinking a coffee. And of course, you would want to select one that is in a, kind of in alignment or works in line with what the post is about. I like this one with this pretty cityscape in it. If bonus if you have ones of your particular cityscape. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. Ooh, surfer. It's actually a paddleboarder. Cool. Okay, so I've got all of my posts now, and I can download them if I want to. So I have PNG, which is the one that I'd like to use if I'm using them for Facebook. However, I'm going to share them with Kendra. I think she's at Hilton.com. So it appears that she already has a Canva login, which is fantastic. So she just got this template for design. So she'll be able to, when she clicks into the email, anytime she goes back to her main Canva page, it's going to appear here in the shared with you designs, and any edits that she makes, I'll see on my end as well. So we're able to collaborate. Any questions on that so far? We're just about done. I'll pop back and see if there are any questions. Oh, thank you for that, Kendra. So we have our Motivation Monday post that we did. Any questions at all? Questions, comments, thoughts, reflections? We talked about planning. I knew that I wanted to do something around a discount for the hotel and share it on Facebook. And then for my second design, I knew that I wanted to do something for Facebook around Motivation Monday. So I knew that I needed a Facebook size, Facebook design layout. I knew that I needed my brand colors and whatever appropriate fonts would be okay, as well as some imagery. And then I thought generally about the layout. For Motivation Monday, text is my primary communicator, and within the discount, the hotel image was going to be my primary communicator, but I also needed to have the sale information on there. Once I created my posts, I was able to select the size, the layout that I wanted to utilize. Then I customized it, adding in the correct photos and the fonts and colors. And then I finessed it by increasing font size, decreasing font size, changing spacing, making capitalized, uncapitalizing, italicizing, unitalicizing, and changing all of the colors to suit the needs for that particular post. And then we also were able to utilize it. We changed the names. We saved some of our posts and downloaded them. We didn't need to delete any, but we can. We did copy a design, and we also shared our designs. Are there any other questions, comments, thoughts, or reflections? Not seeing any come in right now. Let me just check my email. I heard a little buzz, so I want to see if I have an email. No email questions, it would appear. Okay, so in that case, it seems like we are all set and good for the day. Again, we will have, let me just pull up my calendar really quickly so I can tell you exactly when it's going to be. But we do have a Canva advanced training coming up. And I believe that's going to be on the 24th, but let me check. Yep, we have a social media, it's on the 28th. So we have a social media advanced Canva users training on the 28th of August. So today we talked a lot about, or I showed you how to utilize existing layouts and to copy other designs, but in the advanced training, we'll talk about creating those absolutely from scratch. We'll also go into custom sizes and things like that. So this was a general overview. You can absolutely use all of these items for social media and things like that, but Canva has so many more applications. You can use it for posters, email headers. It doesn't really matter. There's really no limit to what you can utilize it for. The Greenwood newsletter is published in Canva. The design is created in Canva. So when you saw the Greenwood newsletter come out earlier in the year, the first newsletter that came out was designed in Canva. So no limit to what you can utilize it for. I'm going to check one more time for questions. And if we're all set, then you are all free to go for the day. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. We look forward to having you on future trainings. And if you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. Thank you all and enjoy today.